Hey everybody, Ben here from the Bonehead podcast and welcome to Lizardmen team development. So we've looked at starting rosters for all the teams in Blood Bowl 2020, whether they're in the rulebook or whether they're from the Teams of Legend PDF. We've also looked at tournament rosters for a lot of teams, so you already have a reasonably good idea of what skills work on what player. But now with the leagues hopefully going to be starting again as we exit this year into the next, what we're going to do is we're going to look at each of the players individually, look at what skill to take when, and really just focus on how to make your league team the best it can be. So we're going to start off with the blockers on your team. This is the saurus blockers. These guys line up and dominate that line of scrimmage, and the reason they do that is because they are 85,000 gold pieces each, and you can take up to 6 of them. They're movement 6, strength 4, agility 5+, passing 6+, armor 10+. No skills, general and strength. So even before they have any skills at all, a line of 4, 5, 6 of these guys is beastly. They're going to get 2 dice everywhere and they're just going to be able to smash face. That said, the first skill you want on any saurus basically ever is going to be block, because it is slightly better statistically to take a 2-die block instead of a 1-die block with dodge. Block will keep you safe when you are being punched back, and let me tell you, 2 dice with block is a phenomenally good roll to make, and when you've got a line of these you just keep farming those casualty points. So block is the first skill you want on your saurus, and then you've got an interesting choice for level 2. It's going to be guard or mighty blow normally. So guard is going to keep your other sauruses safe because it's going to be harder for your opponent to get a profitable block on them. And mighty blow is just going to be able to capitalize on the fact that you are strength heavy. There's a big argument for taking mighty blow instead of block first to get you more casualty points, but for the sake of consistency I recommend block over mighty blow. But if you want to go for casualties, you can take mighty blow and just see if you can speed yourself into becoming block and mighty blow. But block, guard, mighty blow are the 3 skills you really want on every saurus. It's up to you which order you go for it. Block is going to keep you safer, but it's really up to you and your team and your league how quickly you get there. Beyond that, you've got some great skills that can go well. So once you've got a reasonable amount of guard, giving 1 or 2 of your sauruses frenzy is going to make them very effective. And the reason they're going to be very effective is because they're movement 6. So if you deploy your guard guys on the line and then keep your frenzy guy as kind of like a linebacker, he's going to be making some fantastic blocks and covering a huge amount of the pitch. Tackle is also going to be useful, but that is really going to depend on your league. So if you're playing an elf heavy, goblin heavy league, then getting tackle on the saurus as quickly as possible is just going to aid in destruction. Grab is going to help dominate the line of scrimmage, but it is kind of a 3rd or 4th string skill, and stand firm, again, exactly the same thing. If you wanted to save your SPP, dodge would not be bad on a saurus. It would not be good for dodging away because agility 5+, that roll's never going to get good. Now, in the last edition, you would have seen break tackle here in capital letters. The disappointing thing is that break tackle now only gives you +1 to dodging, which takes your saurus from a lowly 5+ to a mediocre 4+ without a reroll. So it's a really tough place to go. So when it comes to secondary skills, there's not a lot for your saurus. I wouldn't mind dodge once I've got block. Blodging saurus is not going anywhere. Blodge guard is very tasty, but the quickest route to take is block at 6 SPP and then guard or mighty blow at 8. It's going to be a while to get you there, but block and mighty blow are going to help you generate those SPP. So whichever angle you take is going to be beneficial, and your team is just going to really start mincing through your opponents. And then you have your lineman positional. So the saurus are the ones who line up on the line and punch things. Your skinks, however, are the guys who fill the gaps. Now these players are remarkably good for lineman positionals. So they are 60,000, movement 8. Strength 2, which is bad, so really fast, really fragile. Agility 3+, which is average. Passing 4+ is not bad. Armor 8+ is going to be that mixed with Strength 2. These guys are going to take a bit of a punching. However, they do have dodge and stunty. So dodge is going to keep them alive way more often than it should, and I don't mean that from a running around in circles point of view. Dodge is going to help them. They're going to get 2 dice against them most of the time, and just being able to avoid defender stumbles results is going to be really good for them. Stunty combined with agility 3+ and dodge means that they are 3+ dodging through the majority of anywhere. So there's a couple of skills you can do, you can go with that actually develop your skink. So we've got an absolutely full screen here. So skinks have agility for general skill and everything else on secondary. Sadly, when it comes to agility skills, there's nothing here that the skink particularly needs. So you've got a couple of options. There's a few skills you can go for. So sure feet's going to make him from movement 8 with 2 go for it's, you know, to movement 10 kind of. Sprint's going to take that up one further. Sidestep is going to be okay. Catch is going to be okay for stretch plays, and sneaky git's going to be useful when you're running around fouling things, which you can do with a skink once you've got 12 or 13 players on your team. When it comes to these guys, because they don't have to spend the SPP, it really gives you the opportunity to save up, either take a double, take a secondary skill, or go for the big play, which is the stats. So we're going to look at the stats first. So with a skink, if you save up 18 SPP and it doesn't die, which is very good for a stunty player, there is not a bad roll that a skink can take. But quite honestly, movement 9 is going to be fantastic. Agility 2+ with stunty is really, really, really good. And you get the option to take it up to a strength 3, which is not fantastic, but it will be remarkably effective. So if you want to wait with one skink and take a roll to get it movement 9 or agility 2+, then that skink is going to start being a really big player on your team. However, failing that, you can go for 12 SPP on your first level up, and you can take block to create a blodge ball carrier, or you can take wrestle to create a kind of optimistic attacker who can just dodge anywhere in on a 3+ and just go for a 2 die up with wrestle. That's much better odds than you might think, especially if you're packing a reroll spare. A wrestle skink can do a lot of great work. However, I think one of the top doubles for the skink is going to be break tackle. Break tackle is going to give you once per turn +1 to dodging, which means that the skink with stunty is going to be able to 2+ dodge into tackle zones, which is going to be phenomenal. Sure hands is definitely worth considering. In the olden times, in Blood Bowl 2016, the dream was to roll a double on a skink and give him sure hands. Not sure that's quite so useful. Kick as well is not bad for this team, and really a skink is the only way to achieve that. You don't want to put kick on one of your saurus, and you certainly don't want it on your crocs. If you've got sneaky git on a skink, saving up for the second skill to get dirty player is going to be really beneficial, and there's always the chance that you're going to need an extra reroll, so you could save for leader. That is all really superfluous stuff. Honestly, I think one guy you just save forever and risk getting 2+ edge or their movement, or just going for block to keep them alive. Blodge skinks is going to be great. There's also Dauntless that you can take if you want to be blitzing around with your little guys, but you are going to be investing in a huge amount of SPP. Realistically though, I'm not sure there's much in the agility chart that's really going to benefit you. Probably catch or sure feet to make your guys a little bit faster and a little bit more reliable at receiving the ball. Otherwise, save up, and if they live long enough, give them a cool double. So the chameleon skink got boosted in Blood Bowl 2020. It got some stuff. So this little guy is 0 to 2 on your team and costs 70k. It's movement 7, so a little bit slower than the skinks. Strength 2, same as the skinks. Agility 3+, same as the skinks. Armor 8+, same as the skinks. Dodge and stunty, same as the skinks. But there's a few extra bits that make it quite a cool player. The first is that it has an advanced passing of 3+. So it's passing a quick pass on a 3+. That's pretty cool. The second is that it comes with 2 extra skills on the ball and shadowing. Shadowing is not going to do a lot very often because quite frankly shadowing anybody with a strength 2 stunty player is just more likely to get you murdered than anything else. However, it can force additional rolls, especially against the stronger players. So if you really need to tag a Chaos Warrior with the ball, you can put shadowing on him. I think he's probably going to blitz his way through you, but if he chooses to try and dodge away, it's going to force extra rolls. So definitely something that you can do with the Chameleon Skink, but not something that is priority. However, having on the ball, yeah, again, they get pass blocks so they can run around and try and intercept balls. Let's ignore that because it's never going to work. But the ability to move 3 extra squares when you receive the ball means that realistically, when you're receiving Chameleon Skinks, or the one Chameleon Skink starts the game at movement 10 for 1 turn. That combined with the fact that it's passing 3+, actually means it's got very good mobility and is going to enable your team quite significantly. So when you're developing that Chameleon Skink, there's a couple of skills that you can look at. It really depends which angle you want to go. So giving the Chameleon Skink catch or diving catch are going to massively combine with on the ball to give you the best opportunity to start your turn with that ball. 3 squares back, if you've got catch, you get a 4+ with a reroll to catch the ball. Diving catch gives you an area of effect to try and catch the ball. Either of those skills are basically going to mean that you start with the ball. It's going to be you're going to be creating your own touchback each time. And if you've got 2 Chameleon Skinks, that's a large portion of the backfield that you're covered with. Starting with the ball is going to save you having to shield and fumble it. So there's a lot of good work you can do there. We've got the standard skills here: sprint, sure feet, sidestep for the Chameleon Skink. But then we're looking at the fun stuff, which is the secondary skills and the stat ups. So we've talked about this a few times in our videos. Going from movement 7 to movement 8 is massive. Okay, so if you want and you are able to save up enough SPP to take a random stat up, a Chameleon Skink is not a bad opportunity for that. Movement 8 is going to be great, especially as you're starting with on the ball. He then is as good as a standard Skink. Agility 2+ is just going to be awesome. He's a stunty player. Dodging around on 2+ is going to mean he's unstoppable, and it also is going to be so much more effective at picking up the ball. Going to a passing 2+ is also something that you should consider with your Chameleon Skink. It's got on the ball, it's got a movement of 7, it's going to be able to maneuver around to get to where you want to give the ball to somebody else. You've got 3 extra squares from on the ball. If you can get 3 extra squares by making a quick pass on a 2+, it's really quite interesting. It's going to supercharge your offense. And then you've got the opportunity to go for a strength 3 Chameleon Skink, who then becomes your primary ball carrier. And that's not a bad way to defend it. So Chameleon Skink, stat ups, any of them are actually pretty good. Sure hands as a secondary skill is also quite useful. Again, we said getting that reroll is going to be quite key, especially as the Lizardmen team have got very expensive rerolls and very expensive players. Accurate and pass are 2 skills that I can see Chameleon Skinks getting in the long run. Break tackle, we talked about with Skinks, same thing applies here, and actually block will be useful to protect it as a ball carrier if that is what you want to run your Chameleon Skink as. I love the idea of giving accurate to a Chameleon Skink and just having it become a little Drew Brees quick passer. I think that's pretty awesome, and then it actually enables your Skinks who don't have great options on agility skills. You get a couple of catch Skinks, you've got a nice little throwing game, and let's face it, a bunch of saurus and a crocs as your front line is going to be a pretty solid pocket to pass in. Bear in mind, stunties are actually slightly easier to deflect than other passers, so going for a deep ball with a stunty, not ideal, but a 2+ accurate, 2+ with accurate, that's quite cool. That is quite cool. Realistically, I think that catch or diving catch on your Chameleon Skink is just going to make what they do better. But after that, it's really up to you. And then we've got the big boy of the team. You've got the crocs. So starting in the league, I'm sure you've already seen the league rosters. It's going to be difficult to get everything you want on the pitch, but at some point you are going to be rocking a crocs, because crocs are one of the best big guys in the game. In this edition, you can save SPP, so if you want a Bloxagor, you can just wait for 6 casualties and get there. If you don't want to wait for 6 casualties, or if you want to risk a random strength roll, you could end up with Brawler, which is a pretty good stopgap. But I would, if you think you can afford it, I would wait for block. Just save up, take block on the crocs. The reason for that is that your offensive line of sauruses are going to be developing guard, and guard is going to be able to help protect your croxagore from being blocked. Block will help with that, but brawler won't. And also, just to give it an extra dice most of the time, if you can get 2 guard on the croxagore, strength 3, targets become a 3 dice block. So brawler or block, combat skill first. There's a couple of other skills there. Guard, once you've got a combat skill on your croxagore, or if you just want to go straight for that and enable your sauruses, although there's not a huge amount of difference between a strength 4 and a strength 5 saurus, it depends on your league. So if you've got a lot of chaos, nurgle, if other Lizardmen team or Black Orc teams, actually giving the croxagore guard is going to mean that everybody near him is 2 die blocking, which can be a massive difference. Once you kind of look to those angles, pro could be useful as well. I wouldn't worry too much about it. Some people really like it because when you do Bonehead, you get a 3+ opportunity to re-roll it without wasting any of your standard re-rolls. Definitely not a bad thing. I think block is more important first of all though. Further down the line, grab. Armbar actually combines brilliantly with the croxagore's prehensile tail. So prehensile tail is -1 to dodge away from the croxagore. Armbar means that if you fail a dodge away from the croxagore, you get +1 to armor rolls on that as well. So it's mighty blow for opponents failing dodges next to the crocs. That's going to be a sweet little combo, and quite frankly, I think a guard armbar croxagore is going to be quite a regular build for people who don't want to wait all the way to get to block. Break tackle is not what it used to be, but it is going to give your croxagore the opportunity to dodge away on a 3+ rather than a 5+. Used to be the 2+ was really sweet because it allowed you to move your croxagore around once it had guard. I don't think we're going to see it quite as regularly. Further down the line, once you've got guard on your linemen or your sauruses, multiple block is going to come in handy because at the moment he's making 2 strength 3 blocks. You chuck a guard in there, that's basically 2 strength 4 blocks, and then he can really start farming out harm because he's got mighty blow as well. If you want to have some fun, you can always give him frenzy, but that is way down the line and only if your team has got enough guard to keep him safe. So the croxagore really is the kind of player that's going to reward your patience. But it's going to be up to you, and it's going to be up to you to read your league. If you need him to be a cheeky little guard island to turn your croxagores, turn your sauruses into strength 5, guard is going to be great. If you just want to get brawling, brawler right there. Or if you're ready to wait all the way to block, you are not going to regret it as long as you can wait that long. So Lizardmen teams are tier 1. They've got a bit of a road bump where they don't have any skills at the very beginning, but hopefully you've seen from going through these players that each player and each player group has an opportunity to become great. Croxagores are fantastic. Your sauruses, once they start working together as an offensive line with some block and some guard and some mighty blow, they're going to absolutely dominate and be able to keep your skinks safe. General line skinks are fine. If they die, it's fine because when you buy one for 60k, you get a really great player. A cheeky skill on catch is going to help with a stretch play every now and again, or sure feet to make it a little bit faster. It's not massive if you don't get that. The chameleon skinks are going to be the ones that get really interesting because you can build a passer and you can have a passing game now with Lizardmen, which is ridiculous because their running game is very, very solid. And it all depends on your league. And this is going to be one thing that I think is really interesting. As every coach has got more control over what his players develop into, different leagues are going to end up with very different teams. So if you're in a Black Orc league and there's you're Lizardmen and there's a Black Orc team, there's going to be a race to guard. You know, and it might be that you go for that first. Going to be really interesting, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing how everyone's Lizardman team turns out. Anyway, let me know in the comments below what you think about lizards in Blood Bowl 2020, and I will be back soon with more Blood Bowl content. Thanks very much for watching.